This video starts on a white screen. The Microsoft logo appears. The screen fades to black. A green background featuring the letters A and I appears, followed by a slideshow showcasing new technologies.
AI for Accessibility is a Microsoft program committed to influencing the future of technology to empower people living with disabilities. Whether reimagining the future of accessible education, building experiences that are accessible for people of all abilities, or developing AI-powered technology to make the world more inclusive, we are pushing the limits of what AI can do.
Hi, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Together with me, we have Rudy and Minky from MasterTech, who are going to talk about the work they've been doing the last year or so, even a little over a year, part of the AI for Accessibility grant. Minky and Rudy, do you want to say hello and introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Minky Chang. I'm based in Shanghai, one of the founders with Rudy with MasterTech, and yeah, we create co-design experiences to help empathize with people with disabilities, to understand that design can either include or exclude people.
My name is Rudy. My full name is Rodolfo Kosovich. I'm an assistant art professor at NYU Shanghai.
In this specific project, we're talking about people with disabilities, but co-creation in general is such an important topic. So can you share a bit more details in terms of how did MasterTech go about this? How did you go about creating awareness, co-creation, and also what are some of the things you learned about the way?
Thinking a little bit that my experience, that I am an engineer by training, I was educated in this world where designers are somewhere, researchers are somewhere else, and the users are in a separate compartment and they're being studied. And I think that that's a vision that we have to challenge. We learn quite a bit, not only of some trends like design for all or inclusive design, but a little bit ahead, as you were saying, in a process that is the co-design. And it has been a very meaningful experience to meet with other scholars and hear the personal experiences of going through this thing of, hey, I have a need, I really want to solve it. But of course, there's a plethora of technical skills and the new team surrounding them. And instead of having designers go through a process where they think, oh, maybe I'm now empathetic and I got to design for somebody, they start realizing that they have somebody next to them that are equally important, and they are the ones that are the expert matters. And I think that the idea of bringing the person that has a disability to the expert level and becoming, like, sometimes in our role-playing games in groups, we ask them to be the CEO of this little team leading the needs, has been great, and we want to see a little bit more of that in the industry as well. Some of the things that we have noticed is that the designers know it, but then they don't really know how to action. The general public, they are in lack of awareness. So we have been conducting activities that raise awareness, and we have been providing tools to the designers. There's a lot of report of discrimination. We have been working with people that are advocates about the disability rights, and particularly in China, as we have been based, and we have seen a lot of progress in the industry. There's like a cry of, like, we have budget, this is the thing that we want to do, how do we act upon this? So the co-design will be the best thing that we can share with you.
And following up on that, Minky, can you tell us more about how did the design labs really go about, and who was your audience? What are the sort of technologies or examples of technologies that folks have been co-creating? Would love to get into the specifics of sharing with folks how MasterTech went about this.
Yeah. So what MasterTech does, we started with a program called Inclusive Design Lab, and it's a co-creation workshop where we invite students without disabilities to co-design with people that have disabilities. And we primarily target students in junior high and senior high. And we create a program that's usually 2 to 5 days, sometimes up to 10 days. And we start with the human-centered design process where we empathize and define, and through that process, interview the person with disability. And one of the first programs we did was with someone that was deaf and hard of hearing. And some of the mismatched human interactions that she mentioned was when she orders delivery, the delivery person knocks on the door or tries to ring the doorbell and can't hear that doorbell. So through that interview process, understanding her needs, the students then define the solution, our design challenge, as creating a visual doorbell for her. And then using different types of technology, and in this case, microbit, we programmed a visual doorbell using a button and a doorbell that's outside the door, connected wirelessly to a lamp using an LED and the microbit to flash when the doorbell is rang. And talking with that co-designer, she was saying that she would love to use it as a room light also. And so during the day or during the evening, it's a regular room light, but then as soon as someone rings the doorbell, it starts to flash. The students worked with her and said, how long do you want it to flash? What colors do you want? And so we were able to really get to know her preferences as well through this experience. And, yes, we produce a prototype in the end, but one of the biggest benefits for the students and the co-designer and all of us is really that social inclusion and that understanding and that empathy, learning that we're all just individuals with our own preferences as well.
And you mentioned about the importance of partnerships. I know that you folks have been deeply in touch with the disability community in China and local organizations. Can you share more about, for other organizations who are looking to have those type of ties and make sure that they're ingrained in the disability community, what advice do you have for them, or what sort of things do you feel that other companies can replicate in order to make sure that they have the right contacts and they have the right knowledge of the disability community?
I guess it's, for us, we started with what is known. So, China has the China Disabled People's Federation. And in the States, I know also each state has its own community and state-sponsored organization. And so we started with them and found an advisor that could just help us to identify, what are the needs, what are their focuses, and be able to talk and connect with people with disabilities. And it started with just that connection. And then identifying, this person is an advocate and can he be an advisor? So that's one of the first things, is getting someone that is trusted by the community as your advisor. And then from there, many other doors open, because then you can start talking to more grassroots or local organizations, and then, have that connection already. And that advisor can also connect you with specific organizations. And so if we wanted to do a program that involved inclusive sports, and so he was able to point us to this organization that says, hey, there's a blind sports club. Why don't you talk to them?
So with Monster-Tech, one of the things that we saw partnering with other organizations that they work with people with disabilities is that the process has been transformative for both of them, and this reciprocal action, it starts with the conversation. So we went with some presumptions, and we went there saying that we know what we're doing, and there's something that we are going to get done because we are fluent with the technology. But through the conversations, it has been a really transformative process. I think that in the history, there's this very, very clear, crisp example with the audiobooks, that it was designed thinking, oh, okay, sure, we're doing this thing because we know the population, people that have low vision, they will benefit from the audiobooks. But now we all use them. So the same thing that happens with that device, it happens in the place. I remember that we were working with this automotive design company. We were running an activity. The main public were just teenagers. And the things that we do is what we think that is great for the team, not only to have an icebreaker and get to know each other, people with or without disabilities, different ages, but we do them because we also think that through that process, they get to know each other better. And some of the people from the design company were there and were observing us. And then suddenly I see the eyes open really wide, because we have people that were like they have reduced mobility, they use wheelchairs. And one of the activities is, well, it's so difficult to enter here. So you need to press the button and then unlock the door, and then you need to pull the door. So what if we have a switch somewhere else that is not on the wall? And we just, during the class, we went there and we hacked the switch. We opened the electric. We asked for authorization from the designer in case that we break something. But actually, that hands-on activity was like really moving for them. It was like, oh, how many other things we're doing that like we were not aware. And then this is much more comfortable. So maybe now it's a little bit to rethink where things are in our office. So I think that partnership is maybe sometimes called from companies thinking that they have some specific need or that they want to act on one direction, but this is a transformative process, and these conversations are really valuable. There's going to be so many insights that they come just partnering with somebody that have a different point of view than theirs.
I love that anecdote. That is a fantastic story. Hopefully no switches were hurt in the making of that, and the other switch worked. I always ask this from our presenters. If you were to give our audience homework, what would that homework be? And it can be anything from you have to check out this resource, or or we recommend you learn more about this, or please check this technology and what it does. So I'll go Minky first, and then Rudy. What is your homework for the audience?
If there is one little homework that I can ask is for people to start looking at the maker scene and projects that are involving people with different abilities. Because we have seen already some transformations, right? Like we heard about 3D printing or something, but now everybody's 3D printing. We heard about physical computer or like people hacking things, and then we see everywhere that they're building their own devices. But this is happening, and I'm sorry guys, but I have to narrow it down. You are going to get old, and your capabilities might be reduced. This might come as a surprise for some of you, but like, go ahead and look at projects like Microvate. Look at learn coding with Make Code, and maybe if you want to experiment with physical things, we have a terrific experience with JACDAC. That is a JACDAC. And you just check out how do you connect things that actually are tangible, and maybe you build a little project. Who knows? It also might be a great thing for you to do with kids, with other people that have different abilities. Do you have a coworker at your office that has low vision, or somebody that maybe has different things? Why don't you bring them on board with this? I think that it would be a terrific project to at least learn from.
Yeah, that's great, because I'm getting more involved in the Shanghai maker community now also. So yeah, that's great. And I guess for me, it's to ask a lot of questions and to go in curious rather than with a judgment. And one of the things that keeps resonating in my mind is now design can include or exclude. And if we start looking at things, we can observe, okay, how is this excluding people? How is this including people? And sometimes excluding people is okay, like a door lock. We want to be safe in our home, but make those intentional. And however, other things, as you explore, go around, it's so easy for us to go throughout our day on autopilot, but just a step back and ask that question. Oh, can this be designed better? Can it be more accessible? And, you know, getting different perspectives on connecting with other people that are not the same as you can help open those doors and those questions as well.
Thank you both for the fantastic homework. And for our audience, please check what MasterTech does as well. We will leave the link in the description. And if you're interested in more, please contact them. And thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope we're slowly but surely bridging the disability divide.